Hello, and welcome to Seeking Heaven, the Near-Death Experience and Other Phenomena. I'm your host, Tamara Caulder Richardson. I'm a 6-time near-death experiencer, as well as an evidential psychic medium, afterlife speaker, and Christ channeler. Please remember to subscribe and like and watch. And I appreciate you watching this channel. I've got a lot of exciting people that are coming on that are spiritual experts, where we discuss many different phenomena in this world and the other world. And we also will have near-death experiencers and spiritually transformative experiencers. So stay tuned. But today's guest is, I've just been so excited to have her on. She is a friend. I think the world of her, and she is an amazing expert in her field. And I'm talking about today a incredible international psychic medium, Priscilla Gendron. Now, she is from South Africa. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before I bring her on. She is, as I said, an international psychic medium. She is the founder and director of 2 global lifestyle and wellness conferences. She's going to tell you about that. She's also a teacher, a healer, and a life coach. Well, for 20 years, before she got into holding her conferences, her international global conferences, she had a spiritual holistic shop called Holistic Rainbow in England, where she offered metaphysical supplies, healing, meditations, holistic therapies, private readings with an array of authentic psychic mediums, enlightenment classes, self-improvement workshops, and fun spiritual events. Then in 2018, Priscilla established the Spirit Lifestyle Festival that she's held now for 3 years. And that was to bring similar-minded people together to offer holistic and solutions for wellness for the mind, body, and spirit, all under one roof. Some of the exhibitors included hypnotherapists, natural healers, African Sangama healers, laughter coach, oxygen therapy, crystal healing modalities, chakra balancing, crossovers, psychic medium readings, on stage and private readings, as well as authors, Vedic astrologists, Indian chirologist, which is hand analysis, meditation, yoga, live, energy, raising music. She still offers these conferences online and will be offering them in person, but of course with the COVID, everyone's had to put things on hold. She is also the co-founder of the Wellness Lifestyle online conference, in which she offers to a global audience an opportunity to interact with international spiritual experts. And this is a big deal. She's got like 90, probably more. I'll have to ask her, but the last time I checked, it was 90 some spiritual experts, and just an array of different topics that she has this online conference every other month. I mean, it's really quite spectacular for a very nominal fee. She also, in 2020, Priscilla established the Psychic Zoom Circle, where everyone on the planet can get a reading from Spirit. And these psychic Zoom sessions are held once a month for a small fee, and they're held in a sacred online space. And then I'll have information if you want to find out more about that. I actually participated in that. We'll talk about that, and it was so much fun. Once I was the sitter, and then twice I was the reader, one of the readers. It was just so much fun. Priscilla is responsible for screening all psychic meetings that are invited to participate in these monthly psychic Zoom sessions, and also interviews and manages other spiritual practitioners that are asked to participate in her spirit festivals or her online wellness conferences. Currently, Priscilla is also creating other global events to unify this world in love, and also to offer healing mind, body, and spirit solutions. So there's more to come from her. She's got a lot of, we've been talking about a lot of things. It's not public yet, but she's got a lot to offer this world. She's got a lot of big plans that are very exciting. However, her passion is to continue to work closely with Spirit to bring messages of comfort to those grieving, and from loved ones that have crossed over through personal messages of love, through whether it's personal or group readings. And again, like I said, she resides in Durban, South Africa. So let me bring her on, and you can find out more about her spiritlifestylefestival.com. So welcome to the show, Priscilla.
Hi, Tamara. Lovely to see you. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I know you're so busy, so I appreciate you taking this time so we can have a little bit of chat. And I wanted people to know about these. Well, I mean, I want them to know about you, and we'll talk about that. And then we'll also go into the to the expos, the conferences, because there's going to be so much more. And when you do, you can't really reveal it now, but when things happen where there's some other events that she's working on that she will release it, we'll make sure you guys know about it so you can be a part of it and sign up for it. So and maybe we should tell them how we met. You contacted me.
Yes,
I don't even know why you did that. Why did that happen? I don't know.
As part of my wellness lifestyle conference online, it's my job to find and source the right kind of people for the conference. And I keep on telling all my speakers that I've become a LinkedIn stalker, because I, go on everybody's profiles and I make sure that I vet them and look at everything about them. And that's how I met you, through LinkedIn. And we just connected. And I remember you were very brash and said to me, I only have 20 minutes for you because I'm very busy. And then 2 hours and 45 minutes later, we were still chatting. So,
well, did I say that? Oh my God, I was brash. I'm so sorry. Isn't that a typical American response too? Oh my gosh, you're like that brash American.
But I said to you I could talk fast, and I did, but we ended up 2 hours, 45 minutes later.
Well, I didn't know that I was you were like my spirit soul sister. I didn't know that. I mean, so I apologize for the brashness. I think it's kind of funny now because I'm like, because they do talk about how us Americans can be. I'm like, not me, never. And I'm like, so apparently, yes, I am that way too. So we got past that. So, but yeah. And it was funny because you didn't really have to screen me because I was actually running a little bit late when we were going to meet over the WhatsApp. And so I was like I normally do, I'm eating on the counter. Like I have 5 minutes or 10 if I'm lucky to eat. I'm on the counter eating, standing up. And then I had to run to the bathroom. And of course, anytime I go to my bathroom, anybody's bathroom, quite honestly, Spirit loves to visit me there. And I didn't know it, but it was so funny because this woman showed up smoking a pipe that had shorter hair. And she goes, I'm not supposed to be doing this. And she started bragging about you and about how wonderful you are and how amazingly competent you are and all the things you're doing. Said you would not believe all the people that she knows and all the things that she's doing. And so when I got back, so I said, okay, I'm finished eating. So when we got on the WhatsApp, it's like Zoom. I said, is this woman, does she belong to you? And I was wondering, I didn't want to say, it's your mom passed, but you started laughing. But what was so I kind of screened myself, but usually when that happens for me, if I have someone, she was really talking to me. Like, you're going to love her. She's so sweet.
An amazing connection because we both channeled, and I ended up channeling your aunt for you. And both of the people that came for us both had the name Margaret. So for me, that was spirit working at its most purest.
Well, I said, you don't mind. I usually try not to slam people with a reading because they may not be aware, prepared, but we're both psychic mediums, so it's not like it's a big deal. But it was so cute how she was bragging on you. And usually that happens to me when it felt like it was personal to me, like she's coming through, like wanted to talk to me. When that happens, every time that happens is like that person's going to be in my life because it felt more personal than just a message to deliver and go on. They said, oh, let me tell you about her. She's great. You're going to love her. And so she's like your PR agent. So so we had a laugh over that. And what was the deal with the pipe? You said she wasn't allowed to smoke. What did she do with the pipe?
No, my dad used to always smoke a pipe, and he still does. So I think it was just her sort of tongue in cheek, that she used to always have because she
sneak it and put it back. It was like a little giggle thing. So, but that's how we kind of connected, and I saw what you were doing, and we just I just really liked you, and I said, okay, we'll take it from there. So I really don't want to leave anything out because there is so much that you do. Matter of fact, we were just going over your bio, and it's just. You're busy like me. You are always doing something. And this pandemic did not slow you down. Instead, you took it all online. And I mean, maybe we should, this is a good time to really, maybe before we get into a little bit about you, maybe we should explain how big these conferences are, because I was blown away. You said that your Spirit Festival that you started, that was in person before the COVID and everybody had to stay at home, that you said that you were getting, you just started this thing and you were getting what, 5,000 people showing up?
Yeah, we had, our first year was a 5,000 people. We sort of had 60 to 70 exhibitors. So it grew very quickly. And it's really surprised us because, whenever you do these kind of events, you never know who's actually going to, turn up at the door kind of thing. But we were pleasantly surprised at the turnover, which was great.
Right. And then also, I'm not sure if I spoke on your monthly thing yet. I think we were talking about it, but the array of people that you have some really, kind of people that are niche oriented. Like you have this, explain the African Sangama healer. That's a specialty.
Oh, yes. I like to have people that are different and unusual, because if you're going to go to an event like this, there's no point in just going there and you just get copy paste with the same kind of thing and same kind of people. So I really go out of my way to really find people that have a niche and that are unique and different. And every time we have our event, we bring on this beautiful African Sangoma, which is like a traditional African healer. And he's kind of like what we would call an African Zulu psychic medium. And he can communicate with spirit, but in a very different ways. And he throws the bones. You have to sit on the floor with him, and he throws the bones, and he gives you a reading according to the bones. And he's incredible. He's an absolutely amazing guy. And sometimes these sessions could be up to 2 hours. So he doesn't put a time limit on it.
Now, what are the bones? Whose bones are they? Hope they wouldn't be my bones.
I think it's animal bones, and they have different kind of stones and rocks and things like that. And he throws the bones, and then according to that, he will read from those. So he's quite, he's a very interesting man. Then we also have people like Kevin Leek, who is our chirologist, and that's the hand analysis. So it's not just like a palm reading. It's much more in depth. He goes into almost like the forensic analogy of the hand and every single line on the hand. He's quite fascinating, and he's just got this plethora of information and knowledge about every single line on your hand and what it represents in your life. And he can actually do a whole, life story on you just by taking an imprint of your hand.
Wow, now how is that different? Is that still the Sagama healer, or is that the chirologist? The chirologist.
Yeah, the chirologist. So he's fascinating, and he's just got this information of every single line in your hand represents something, and something in your life. And if it's in one direction, it's like this, or if in that direction, it's something else. So it's quite fascinating. All he does is he takes an imprint of your hand prints, and you go away, you come back 20 minutes later, and he's doing you a whole write-up of your whole life from beginning to end, just from your hands.
That is amazing. You really have some interesting people, and really all over the planet, the people that are not only participate, but that far as your practitioners. Now, when you have the oxygen therapy, do they actually set up a hyperbolic chamber thing?
He more has it wasn't big enough for that, but it's called O2 therapy, and it's stuff that can be used in the home situation, or just healthier living in a sense. So you can actually use it and put little nasal cannulas in and things like that. So it was quite different and unusual. So I always like to find something that is different and unusual.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your stuff is really cool, and I guess you could even dare say experimental. But you're willing to, but you do screen these people, and you're like, hey, why not? So that's curious. So the OT therapy, what is that used for? Anything?
It's really used to promote health. When we have oxygen, you can actually, in places like China and Japan, they actually have places where you can go to, like restaurants, where you go and have O2 therapy, and you can sit in there and you can put the oxygen on and you can have fresh oxygen for 20 minutes. And it does help rejuvenate the cells and the healing. So that is quite new and experimental, I suppose, or not so experimental, because we all breathe oxygen, but our oxygen is not so pure anymore. So this is pure oxygen. So it's just kind of like rebooting the system for oxygen.
Oh gosh, yeah, that makes total sense, especially depending where you are or what kind of toxins. And then, of course, yeah, I thought it was interesting that you also have Vedic astrologists, because isn't that that is a specific type of Indian astrology? I heard they are very accurate. Have you ever had a Vedic reading?
I have, and they are very, very accurate. We have a selection of Vedic astrologers that I have worked with for many, many years. So I do trust them and the information and knowledge that they have. We do have a variety of Vedic astrologers. They all originate from the East. So none of them are Western astrologers, because you can get the Western Vedic astrologers. But these ones are the proper Eastern Vedic astrologers. And I always make sure that they're the ones that get preferential treatment when they come to my events because of their experience.
Oh yeah, and they're a guest, and I mean, you treat everyone. You're like a spirit mama. I mean, you do. You treat everybody really well. So, and hopefully, if we do, we might have a Vedic astrologist on here, and it's because of Priscilla, because you might know people, because I've heard that is phenomenal. Honestly, West, we don't know much about it. It's a specific thing.
It's quite fascinating. Yeah, it's quite fascinating.
It is. And so you have some amazing people, including hypnotherapists. I mean, there's just an array. And then the psychic mediums are also very fascinating. I can tell you, participating. So the first time I was a sitter in the psychic medium, what happened is we had 4 different rooms, and they would have the sitters stay in the same room if there were 5, 6, 10, whatever, and then they would rotate the psychic mediums. And so I got to experience the different personalities. I thought they were all very good. They all had different personalities and approaches. And then when I did it, I had a blast. I met the nicest people from all over the world that were in the rooms, and we had some laughs. And then you said later afterwards, I think it was Priscilla, that people, the other psychics, we all got the same thing on the same people. Didn't you say that?
Yeah, because we have the rooms, and we have a maximum of 10 people per room, the sitters, and then we have 1 psychic in each room, and then every 20 minutes we swap them over. So you get to see 4 psychics. So everybody, and it was strange because we like to go and have a little bit of analysis afterwards. And all the psychics stayed behind, and we even asked you to stay back because you were, checking it out to become a psychic medium on the show. And it was fascinating because there was one person that got the same message following on from all the psychics, which was incredible, because you don't know what you're saying to the person. You just go to the next room.
Yeah, you don't know.
That person was getting the same messages from everybody.
Okay, well, which is funny. We don't know who she is. I know who she is, but she was a very pretty, like a model young girl. And I think she was just a little hard-headed. So Spirit had to take all 4 of us to say the same thing. Seriously, to say the same thing. But I had a blast with that. Yeah, I thought the quality was really good. And we were all different personalities, and we would all describe things in our own way, but I thought it was really good. The thing about you, Priscilla, that I noticed right away is you're spot on with names. And even when you mentioned Jason, I'm like, that's my brother. With me, I can get names, or I can go a period, go for a while, and not get names and get other stuff. So, but that seems to be your thing that you're really good at. So you do give good evidence, and I know you have a love of spirit like I do, and this is the most thing that's dear to your heart, and I respect that because I feel the same way. So, and so speaking of your relationship and love affair with spirit, maybe we should get into a little bit about you and growing up psychic. And I know you said that you had some personal discoveries lately about near-death experiences and all that, and what part of that you want to share, I would love to hear it, and I know our listeners would love to hear it.
Well, I at about, I think, about 10 or 11 months, just to give you a little bit of history, is that every time I was given an immunization, and back in the 60s, early 70s, all children were immunized, on a regular basis. And every time I got immunized, I actually got the conditions very, very badly, which resulted in a lot of medication and becoming very incredibly ill. I eventually was air flighted by helicopter from one city to another, and I ended up having to be resuscitated twice. So I had, I
Now, what
died.
was it? You couldn't breathe? Is that what it was?
Well, it was that the fact that I then developed a condition called Stevens-Johnson syndrome, which was a very rare disease. And I was probably the 5th child in South Africa to have it, and the only one to have survived from it, because every other, it was so unknown. And it's where the medication that's given to the person actually just destroys the whole immune system. And so then you've got nothing to fight. So everything that happens to you, you just get incredibly ill. So every time I was getting an immunization, mumps, measles, rubella, whooping cough, rheumatic fever, chicken pox, whatever it was, even meningitis, I got it severely. And because there was nothing to fight it, that's when, I got so ill and almost died. The nurse had to actually cut my mouth open every morning and unplug my eyes because they would be all glued together and scabbed together. So, it was a very trying time for my parents. And many years later, when I started to really just step into my oneness with spirit, I went and had a past life regression. And in that past life regression, we went back to that time where I found that I'd had a near-death experience and I'd actually left my body and I'd gone up to heaven. And it was very profound for me to recognize that, because I always wondered why I was always different, and I was like a square peg in a round hole my whole life.
That's what we talked about the first time.
Yeah. And it was like not fitting in and not knowing why you can't fit in, because I'm a normal person, I do normal things like everybody else, but why did I not fit in? Because spirit had other plans for me.
Yeah.
And I'd know things about people, or I'd understand things about people, or we'd be going in a car as a youngster, and we would be driving along, and I'd say to my dad, okay, if you go around the next corner, there's going to be a little picnic spot for us to stop. I need to stop to go to the loo. We'd never been on that road before. We would go around the corner and everybody would gasp because there would be the picnic spot and we would have to stop. And I still said to my dad, when we were here the last time, you put a little wishbone, a chicken wishbone, in the rafters of the thatch roof. And we need to fetch it. And there was one. And we had never been there before. So there was a lot of things that happened, in my life, of knowing things and saying things and having awarenesses and not quite understanding them, and then being raised in a Roman Catholic environment, you are then told that this is, not the right path to follow, it's the devil's work. So you kind of push it back. Went to Roman Catholic school, so that was pushed back even more. Right. And it was only when I was, I went nursing and I got a nursing degree, and it was, I would know when a person was going to die, and I'd suddenly just get up off my chair and go to that person, and I'd hold their hand and they'd take their last breath.
Oh, wow.
And that would be happen on a regular basis, So it never dawned on me that this is the ability that I had. And it was only when I decided to go to the UK and go and live and work there that I actually finally started to develop who I was as a person. And
can we stop just there? Yeah. Before we go into the UK, I got some questions for you. So there's a lot of people that I've heard from, they're probably watching, that they have precognitive what do you call it, visions or whatever, of someone dying, and they don't know how to handle that. Here's the thing. We're born, we live, we die. If someone sees something, it's like watching a car pass by. It doesn't mean they made that car pass by. It just means they're just observing it. So, when I've gotten information like that before too, even in my relatives, on 2 of them. And why I got it, for me was to say, take some time off. It's going to happen around here. You need to be available to family. So there may be different reasons that people are told that. Especially if, like, hospice, if they're hospice, they already know they may need to
Yes.
call in the family, and sometimes they that might be another reason. But I think it's just an observation. I don't think it's necessarily always so profound like people think that it is.
No.
So now, was there anyone else in your family that was like this other than you? I know you have a sister.
Yeah, I've got two sisters, but no, I was the only one. I think I got the lion's share. I don't think anybody else wanted to hold it. My mom could be a little bit intuitive, I think. She had a little bit of what you would call a sixth sense, but hers wasn't developed. Her once saying, we were going to go and visit my aunt in another city, and she says, no, we're not going to go. And we were all packed and ready to go. She said, I'm not going. I'm not getting on the road. Something's going to happen. And then we heard that somebody in the family had an accident. So it wasn't anything to do with us, but she just didn't want to go on the road.
Okay,
so
got it.
things like that. So it wasn't as profound as what I have, but it certainly is obviously from that. And then I had an uncle as well on my dad's side of the family that was also very spiritual. So it wasn't well known. I've got some cousins now that are very spiritual, one or two of them, but it's not huge within our family at all. I think the only one that really does it and develops it as a career, things like that. So it hasn't been huge in my family.
Which is
it's
difficult.
been a constellation because it's difficult because I was called the little witch of the family.
No, that's not nice, and people don't understand. So, and it's funny because if you guys want to look at on the video, the 4 mediums, we got 4 little candles, and then Leo and Suki and Priscilla and my cell phone there. At the end, we had a sitter, and then I don't know, we had a technology issue, we couldn't bring them on. And then so at the last minute, you said, I have someone for you. And I didn't know who they were. And I read them, ended up being your sister. Like, I had no idea. And ended up like, I felt kind of bad because some personal information has come through. You're like, yeah, you were spot on. That's fine. I got it. I understand. But I didn't know it was your sister. So I thought that was great that she, would let that happen, because we were kind of stuck. So that was great. Yeah. When you don't have family members that are like this. So I don't know if you were like me, that you tried to, I was discouraged, when I would say certain things, I was looked at like, that's weird, or don't say that. Did you feel free to be this way in the family, or did you kind of tone it down some?
I didn't bandy it about in the family. When I had my own shop in the UK, I used to have like psychic evenings, and we would have evidential psychic mediumship. And I remember my sister coming the one night. She came and spent a couple of days with me, and she actually came to the evening, and she sat in the very back, trying to ignore all the psychics who were completely just honing in on her. And then I did my session, and afterwards she spoke to me. She says to me, I couldn't believe I didn't realize what you did. So for her, it was a aha moment, because she knew I did some stuff, but for her, it was like she didn't realize the extent of what I did. So that was wonderful for me because it was kind of like an acknowledgement.
So was she interested in that or no?
She's not really interested in it. She doesn't understand it maybe, or I don't know. I just feel like she doesn't. And I appreciate that because, everybody's got, their own belief systems.
Yeah, you can't force that.
No, you can't. So it just feels like she's interested in it, but it's not her cup of tea. And I appreciate that. But for her to have acknowledged me, that was good for me, And then when I was back in South Africa, somebody else spoke that didn't know me, and my sister were related, spoke to my sister and was raving about me and all the stuff I was doing, and my sister couldn't believe it, So it was like, and now she comes to all of my psychic Zooms.
Isn't that funny? So it took, isn't that family? That you could, it's like, if I told, for example, like my mom, she might disagree, but if I said, hey, mom, maybe you should watch eating, blah, 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 she probably wouldn't do it. But if a stranger told her, and then if I told her, like, so you got validation from a stranger how awesome you were. And so she's like, maybe I should take a look at this. Other people think my sister's terrific. So isn't that funny? Well, I like what you said. And I don't, this was like pre-show, we were talking about that your near-death experiences were really like, look, if you come back, it is a resurrection. It is. It's a resurrection. I mean, if you remember being in a place that looks like paradise or the galaxy, not like in the hospital room where you have an out of body, but you are out of your body. You are not with your body. You're in another world. That is a resurrection. So you said it hit the reset button. Can you talk personally about that, what you feel about that?
Yeah. It probably about just over a month ago, I started not feeling well, and I just got worse and worse and worse. Went to see the doctor, put me on a whole load of new medication, everything. All my blood results were all over the place, and it was just crazy time in my body. And then I just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And then I just even could hardly get out of bed. And I had rash over my body. And then I started with a huge viral infection. And I had fever and nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, you name it. I had it. And I was lying there, curled up in this fetal position, going through this whole process. And it just said to me, you have to start at the very beginning. That song from The Sound of Music, let's start at the very beginning. Very good place to start. And they took me right back, and they said to me, you've got to hit the reset button from that time, because what had happened through having to go on to all these new medications, it triggered my Stephen Johnson's. And so it took me right back to the 10 months old, and I had to reset that button.
Oh, so, my God. Your body remembered this is like 10 years old again. Okay. So the whole mind, body, spirit went there.
Yeah. Wow. And everything that happens to us is in our cells, in our cellular makeup. So whenever something happens, it'll trigger us and it'll take us back to that moment. So it won't be about the present. It'll always be about the past, because it's being reignited. So my 10-month-old baby was reignited when I had the NDE, and I had to restart. So it was a kind of a reboot. So I have a friend who does a thing called DNA activation. So I went to go and have a session with her, and I went with a tongue-in-cheek, shall I say, because I didn't know whether it was going to have any kind of effect on me, or and so I lay there and I did what was asked of me. But as I was there, I could feel things starting to move within my body, and I could feel vibrations and things shifting and leaving my body and coming in. And I thought, oh, okay, something is happening there. And then I started to process everything, and she allowed the DNA activation to work. And the moment I got off the bed, I immediately had my son in my mind. And I thought, oh, I haven't rung my son to tell him to go to his friend's house after school, to find that there were 17 missed calls from him, and he was waiting outside our house and he couldn't get in, and he was sick. He had the same viral infection that I had.
Wow.
And so he ended up being ill for a week. And I had to then forget my DNA activation and jump in and now heal him and get him better. To the fact that now he's well, and I still wasn't well. So I went back to the doctor and I said to him, okay, I'm stopping everything. I said, because my body is just telling me no more. I stopped everything, vitamins, minerals, everything. And I said, I'm going to just give my body time to heal again. And since I've done that, then I went to see a friend of mine. She does the most amazing integrated healing session with sound therapy. And it completely shifted. And she tests in a form of kinesiology of how to where the thing is. And I didn't tell her anything. I said, I just need to heal myself. And she went right back. She says, generational, and she says illness from a child. So I had to really and I had to look at the
Oh boy.
generational thing as well. So it wasn't just me, months old. It was generational, 3 generations back.
Oh my gosh. So wow. So you're releasing all that, whatever.
The generational karma, as well as my own.
Wow. Oh, wow. So what happened afterwards? This sound healing and I guess whatever therapy was involved. What realization? Did you feel better too? I mean, what happened?
It felt like I had to be resurrected, and that was why I went back to 10-month-old, because I had to have some form of resurrection, reboot. And that night, as I fell asleep and I dreamt that this person approached me, this like being, and he gave me something to put on my arm. And he said, well, this is the bracelet you have to wear. And he put it on my arm. And then I said to him, thank you. And as I looked up to say thank you, he had disappeared. And I looked at my arm, and the bracelet disappeared into my body.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of thought, okay, that's the gift that Spirit have given me. I now have the ability now to heal. And since I've had that realization, for the first time today, I actually could function for an entire day without having to go and lie on the bed and relax. So when you have all these realizations and you allow Spirit to work with you, amazing things can happen. And people are too scared to allow Spirit in, because of fear of how Spirit have been portrayed over the millennia. It's always been Hollywoodified, and turned into this spooky woo-woo stuff. And it's not like that. Spirit can be so amazing in their healing and their ability to connect people and connect us with our own being and our own spirituality and our own healing, if we just let them in. And there's actually nothing to fear. And I think that's what people are scared of.
Well, we are spirit. So what's the problem? Are we afraid of ourselves? We're spirit. These bodies, they don't, they have a termination date. And I think also added to that is you had the spiritual maturity to say something is off. I'm willing to look at it. I'm willing to look at this. And, there are other people like ourselves that work with spirit. There are other people. And there are other people that are working with the highest level and the highest good as well. So, in life, it's really easy, I think, to give, but it's harder to receive. And when you want to, especially like even us, we need spiritual support sometimes too, especially because we can get very drained, which that'll be in the live chat. We'll talk about being drained and all of that. So, wow, thank you I know that's personal. So thank you for sharing all of that. And but I want people to know about your rich career. So you had the shop in England, and then you had a lot going on. You did that 20 years. And
not
you had,
but it was for quite a number of years. And then I ended up selling up and coming back to South Africa. And then I had my own little business with 2 other spiritual people. And we had our own little shop and therapy thing. And we used to do little events and days and stuff like that. And it was actually an old courthouse. And our therapy rooms were jail cells. They were amazing, and they had the most amazing locks on them, and the keys were this size and huge like this, and you could hear the click, the old sound of the doors opening, and it was incredible. We had such a wonderful time because it was just so fun.
Well, so was there any people from the jail cell that were spirit people?
No, I think there was a lot of people. We did clear it out. We did clear it out before we actually set up. And I think people were quite fascinated by it. And I think even Spirit were quite fascinated by the fact that we set up there.
And you made it positive.
We did. We really turned it into something very positive. We had a little shop, and we had different therapies and healers and things like that. And we used to have events and days where people would just come together and spend the day with us and do different modalities. And that's where sort of my love for bringing people together started.
Isn't that interesting? A courthouse with jail cells, and how it took someone really creative to think, hey, we'll clear this out, give it new life, and do something positive. I think that's so cute.
It was something, it was an old, it hadn't been used for years. So it was at least, I think, 200 years old. So it was quite nice and old, and it had that old energy to it, which was quite fascinating. So, and it even had a coffee shop in the front, and it was wonderful. So we really enjoyed the whole process.
Oh, so then when you went from there, then was the next one, was that your Spirit Festival that came next? Was that you that created this?
Yeah, so then I had that, and then I went back to the UK. So I was going back between South Africa and the UK. Then I went to America for 10 months and spent 10 months traveling from New York to Los Angeles, right across the South. Just, seeing people embracing different modalities and stuff like that. And it was fascinating. So I've done a lot of traveling around, met the most amazing people. And then I went back to the UK, and that's when I had my shop. And then after that, I went back to South Africa again, and then my son was born, and so we stayed for quite a while. And then I used to do different events, and I used to go to a place called the Castle. I always go to some unusual places. I used to have therapy rooms, and then we used to go to a place called the Blue House and things like that. So we used to have some wonderful connections and meeting the most amazing people and souls and connecting. So it was, for me, it's all about the connection. There is so much to give in the world. If I can put one person in touch with somebody else, for me, that feels like then my job is done. I don't believe in being selfish and holding on to everything for myself. For me, it's about making the connections, joining the dots.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's the whole planet. I mean, the whole planet needs healing. We need more love and more unity and more self-love. So I agree. If I try to share people, if somebody else can get some good information from it or help them in some way, there's a lot of healing to go on. So I love your philosophy on that. And you are a networker. I mean, you do, but you're like Mama Spirit networker. You do. You're like you're lovingly make connections with people. You do.
Yes. Yeah. Because I do events, and I've been doing events for a while, and then I just slowly let the events grow. And then when I came back to South Africa, I decided that South Africa used to be, especially Durban, used to have the most amazing festivals. And then for a period of like 6 or 8 years, they didn't have anything. So I thought, well, I'm going to resurrect this and really put my energy into bringing together this amazing collection and group of people, which we did with our festivals. And it just has grown from there. And it's all about the connections. And then, of course, last year we were supposed to have our festival, and then suddenly, the doors slammed shut because of COVID.
Yeah, everywhere.
And I had to think on my feet, and I thought, okay, what the hell am I going to do now? I've got 100 exhibitors, I've got vendors, I've got everybody. What do I do now? I have to cancel everything. And I said, but I still need to do something. And so together with two other people, Stefan Hoffman and Tracy French, we sat down together and we decided, okay, we're going to do something online. I had never done anything online, and I was a little bit of a technophobe. So with their support, because they're a lot more technical savvy than I am, I'm the talker and they're the doers, the technical doers. We put together the Wellness Lifestyle Conference online. And that we launched our very first one on July last year. And it was a huge success. We started off with 70 speakers, and it was a 4-day. It was a 4-day live, and we also did a 4-day live event. And then every month after that, we introduced 20 new speakers. So our last event now. So now this year, we decided to do it every 2 months because it's a lot of hard work.
Oh my gosh.
And, I think we're sitting on about 250 speakers from 17 countries now. So we have grown since last year, July. We have grown exponentially, and every time we do a new event, we get a new country, which is amazing.
Oh, wow.
So
this is fantastic. I mean, when you said 90, The speakers are, but when you said 90, I was like, 90, you do how much per month? You're adding 20, and then, but you have these speakers and topics every month, and it's quite a bit that you have, and it's over what, a period of 3 or 4 days, and
Yes.
then for a really small fee, and then the speakers offer specials, whatever that is.
Yeah, so we get the speakers to offer specials, and also to give them to do giveaways as well. So in order to watch their video, you watch their video, leave a comment, and then one of the speakers will then choose somebody at random from those comments and offer them, either if it's a psychic medium, to offer them a reading, or a therapist to offer them a therapy, whatever it is. We also then have developed an online store where people, the speakers can then offer their online products and services as well. So, we're trying to do this for the speakers because, in the COVID times, the first people that really got affected were people that were doing events, and people that, like us, people couldn't afford to go and see a psychic or go and have healing or go and see a therapist and things like that. They had to think, okay, do I feed myself, or do I go and waste, dollars or rands or whatever it is, and go and have a reading? So people were being a lot more cautious about things. No events were on, everything was cancelled. So a lot of people had to think for themselves and take things online, which was a huge change for everybody.
Yeah, but I think it's grown. I mean, that's how we met, the online. So I think there's a lot of positive things, and that's how I used to do these Southern women shows, and when I would go in different Southern cities in the U.S., and I would do messages from heaven, and I would stand up there, talk about heaven's real, my NDEs, and say, do you want to see proof of it? Here you go. And then I would do these medium demonstrations, and I met lovely people and families. It was so much fun. I loved hugging the people and being around them. But that canceled. Actually, it's canceled a whole nother year. But I'm grateful because I would have never thought about doing this channel, the Seeking Heaven channel. I would have never thought about it. But now I'm having amazing people like you all over the world come on and speak about their businesses and opportunities for everybody that can participate. And I'll have, of course, the links below and all of that. But I know we've just got a few minutes, and I wanted you to kind of wrap up. I love the fact about how the quality, not only are you a co-founder of several metaphysical shops and several online and in-person festivals and conferences, but you also manage and direct these things. You coordinate it. You're an event coordinator as well. I mean, you're phenomenal. And I used to own an advertising agency 27 years, and I've put on events and so forth, and it's a lot of work. People have no idea. Oh my gosh. And then not to mention the personalities, because people don't realize this, especially creative people or like me. When I would do it, it was with creative people, about the same. And some of them, they need TLC. I don't know how to say it any better. And you have to make sure they're on time and do what they do. So, but you have a screening process too, because you do have a good quality. So I want you to talk about how you screen, like, for example, your psychic mediums, what you look for, even how they treat the sitter, and about ethics in general, because I love that about you. Not only the doing this, of putting all this together and managing it, but also your quality control. And I most admire you for that, because I participated in several events, and not all of them have quality control and the interpersonal relationships that you do. I mean, once someone meets you, like, if they're not in Priscilla world, then there's something wrong with them, because you take people in. I mean, you're so loving and take people in that want to share their gifts, that it's like one big global family that I can't imagine anyone not liking you unless they have a different kind of weird motive. But tell us about the quality control and how you screen your people.
Yeah, for me, it is about the quality, and it's so important, because, if you're going to invest time in something, if you're going to invest time in learning something, or getting knowledge, or having a reading, or receiving a message from a loved one, you want to make sure that you're not being duped or sold a pack of lies and things like that. And there are a lot of people out there, especially some of the psychic mediums, that just tell you a pack of rubbish, and you don't get anything from it, and it's soulless. or they end up asking you too many questions, and leading you in it, and you
Yeah.
end up
I
telling
don't
the
want
reading.
any. Yeah, people don't get that. Let's
I
talk
always
about
tell
that.
people that.
They're
I
not
always
supposed
say,
to say anything, really.
yeah, say, give me your name. If I tell you something, just say yes or no. If it's no, then we move on. If it's yes, then we go with that. But it's
Right.
so important, and I'm very pedantic about the kind of psychic mediums that I bring into my events, and especially into the Psychic Zoom circle, because it's such a sacred circle. And it's our reputation is at hand here, and I've got to have the best quality people. If they're not going to give the right evidence, then they're out. And I always make sure that I do interview them. They've all got to get past my my steel face, because I don't give them anything. I don't give them any acknowledgement of the information and things like that. And I've interviewed quite a few people, and I've just thought, nope, not going to happen, because they definitely don't have it in them.
Right.
So,
And I think that's important. There's a level that's expected, and I did see it with the people. And it's funny because certain people, I think it was, I don't know him well, but was it Colin that works with colors? I thought that was fascinating. He reads people through colors.
Yeah,
Well,
Fraser.
And he reads people through. I thought that was interesting. And that's his thing. He reads people through the colors. So everyone has their different takes. Some people read the information through energy, and they explain it in a different way than me, but the consistency was there. That's how you put me through to Leo. And then Leo, I think is very sweet. He's very talented. That was trained in the similar fashion that I was for 8 years in the British style of mediumship. That's been on here too. So he has a book out, Summerland. So I know that he's a good friend of yours, and that makes sense because you're both great people. So I thank you for introducing me to him, because he feels like a brother. I don't know why. He's like your soul family. That's why. And I'm like, because I do. I just feel like, and it's funny, even with you, I immediately trusted you. There was like no issues on the table. It was like, let's just do it. Whatever it is, let's do it. So, but you do. I love that. And I love how you build relationships. And really, isn't that what it's about? It's not about what can you do for me today and you're gone. I mean, that doesn't build anything. I mean, that doesn't build connections and joy and unity. And we talk about unity a lot in this world.
And that's one of my most important things, is that when I'm doing this and I'm bringing all these people together under one umbrella, I'm not just keeping them under my umbrella. Like, for example, I was saying, okay, I've connected you with Leo and with Suki and with, several other people, and I've connected Leo with loads of people for his show and things like that. So I'm always on the lookout for helping people to connect the dots. So if somebody else can benefit from them, then I will say, okay, I'm going to send you this person's email, contact them, and then you take it from there. And I'm always into making introductions so that it can flow and the web can grow and get stronger, so that there's not going to just be one umbrella, there's going to be 50 umbrellas.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I love that. And again, we talk about unity, but no one really talks about how to do that. And I really see that you're doing that.
Because at the end, there's enough for everybody. If you give some of your heart and you let somebody else's heart grow too, it all just expands, and it makes more abundance for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And now the wellness conference, when is your next one online? When is this going to happen?
The next one online is the 17th of April.
Okay. That's April 17th. So they can sign up at thewellnessconference.com.
That's right, the wellnesslifestyleconference.com, and they can just subscribe to the site, and then they'll get access to the live event for the 17th, because we have a day of live events where we have a selection of different people talking on different topics. Always starts off with chanting by the Bhakti Marga, and always finishes off with Authentically Me Roundtable with Nirvana. So, and we have a variety of different people. I'll also be on there. I do psychic talk, and then I always interview a variety of different psychics. We give messages to loved ones.
Oh, absolutely. It really is well-rounded, and it's a lot of fun too. So now there is a time difference for you people in the US. Like right now I'm on Eastern time. So we are, what time, what's the difference between us right now?
Okay, so I'm now 10:47 p.m.,
6 hours.
6 hours.
6
So,
hours. So,
yes. So we
so
would
what,
start at 9 a.m. South African Central Time,
mhm.
which would be the middle of the night for Americans. But if you're a night owl, is perfect.
Or you
um,
could see the recordings. They're still
yes,
very good. And
yes,
and depending where you are in the world, I always look at Time Buddy. What is it, timebuddy.com? A world, no,
yeah,
it's worldtimebuddy.com, worldtimebuddy.com. You can find out where everything is. So you put where you are and where this is, which is in South Africa, and you can find out. But
yeah.
Priscilla, I wanted people to know about your event. I wanted people to know about you. You're going to be doing a lot of things. I know about it. And
Yeah.
I wanted them to have an introduction to you and your services that are available. And there's such a nominal fee, guys. They're really, I mean, you're being so gracious. You hardly charge anything for this. I mean, I don't know what the U.S. what it would be with whatever, but it's not
$15.
much.
It's
Yeah,
not much.
$15 for a whole conference for like a whole weekend is not much, and it's just the knowledge that you can get is just amazing. So I want to thank you for your time. I know that you're going to come back for the live chat, and
Yeah.
you're amazing. You're welcome here anytime. And when you have your next launch, you're an entrepreneur, so your next launch, you're welcome to do it here. And I thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Priscilla.